This is a mock interview conducted by Forum IAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I
Come, Garima.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please sit down.
Thank you.
So, how are you today, Garima? You're doing well?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your interview date?
Ma'am, it is 27th March.
So, your place of birth is Bareilly, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And ran public school is in Uttarakhand.
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Ma'am, it is in Rudrapur, which is in Udham Singh Nagar district.
Yeah, I know. And you're settled in Delhi?
Ma'am, I have done my graduation from Delhi.
But what are you doing right now?
Ma'am, I am being completely UPSC aspirant.
And where do you stay?
Ma'am, I'm doing my preparation from my home only.
Which is Rudrapur.
Which is Rudrapur.
What do you think is the greatest threat to Uttarakhand today?
Ma'am, the climate change.
Please be specific.
Ma'am, especially the disaster that is happening in Joshimath. We can assume
it's happening only in Joshimath?
No, ma'am, in Chamoli as well. In other areas. Yes, ma'am.
What about nearer home, where you are? What about Kumaon? You seem to have forgotten Kumaon. What about that? Didn't the Mall Road sink 2-3 years ago? The lower Mall Road sank and there was a crack in it?
Yes,
the lake, Nainital?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So,
what about Dharchula sinking?
Yes,
That's Kumaon?
Yes, ma'am. So, there's a problem of land sinking.
So, why is it happening?
Ma'am,
and I'm not talking Joshimath now. I'm talking bigger. Why is it happening?
Ma'am, since the entire Uttarakhand is an ecologically fragile area and also it is prone to landslides, and along with that it is believed that it is not present on a stable rock system. Along with that, over construction that has been happening and the over expansion of roads and
so do you think that the railway line should go up to Karnaprayag or not?
Ma'am, I believe it should be looked at the matter considering all the stakeholders.
Yes or no? Stakeholder, I'm asking you.
Ma'am,
stakeholder are not going to do the interview. You will do it.
Ma'am, considering the ecological fragility of the area, I don't believe that it should be done because...
I agree with you completely. Okay, now tell me what should be done. Practically, what can be done now? You can't undo what time has done, but what can you do now?
Ma'am, we can have a proper implementation of policy with respect to sustainable...
Now tell me what the sustainable big word. Tell me nuts and bolts what it means.
Ma'am, we can focus on local... We have to cap the limit of tourists in the places because there has been over-exploitation of the resources in the Uttarakhand region because of that. So I believe we have to focus on our tourism policy as well.
Instead of madly increasing supply, you have to restrict demand.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. And anything else? I mean, some categorization needs to be done. What is essential, what is non-essential?
Ma'am, also along with that, we have to focus on the people's right to livelihood in terms of rehabilitation and evacuation. Because the lands are sinking and their houses are getting disturbed.
Where will they go?
Ma'am, for that, the policymakers have to think about it and design.
My last question to you. I hope you've read the paper the last 2-3 days, if not today.
Yes, ma'am.
So there have been 2 Supreme Court judgments, rulings.
Yes, ma'am.
One is regarding the Election Commission.
Yes, ma'am.
And one is regarding the issues in the stock market arising from the Adani FPO.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the common issues that emerge from these 2 judgments?
Ma'am, the common issue that emerged is the judicial overreach, that there is an assumption and the presumption that...
You agree there is judicial overreach in both these?
Ma'am, I do not agree that there is a judicial overreach.
Okay, now I will be the devil's advocate. There is something known as the balance of power, basic structure of the constitution, that is the basic structure, right?
Yes,
like independent judiciary, checks and balances, separation of powers.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And they themselves recently have opined in the NJAC case that it goes against the basic doctrine, basic features of the constitution.
Yes, ma'am.
So now what I'm arguing is that this judicial overreach is going against the basic features of the constitution, because it now means They could simply have said the legislature should make a law within 2 months in the EC case. Why did they say that no, a judge will be there on a committee, etc., etc.? This is one. Yes. Second, in the case of Adani, they have asked the SEBI to do an inquiry and they've started an inquiry themselves. So should they not have just directed SEBI to do a time-bound inquiry? Now, is this not judicial, not only overreach, is it not going against the basic features of the Constitution and their own rulings so far?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that there is a demarcation of line between judicial overreach.
That's all very well. So, in this, comment on this.
Yes, ma'am, I do not agree that judiciary is going over.
Then counter my argument. I have just told you. If I were the Supreme Court Chief Justice, I would have said, let legislature make a law within 2 months. Or let the president pass an ordinance. Ma'am, and in the case of SEBI, they've already said inquiry and they've said 2 months. So why do they need to get into it themselves and a judge and everything? Ma'am, what expertise does a judge have to talk about stock market? Is an institution mandated?
Ma'am, in the appointment cases, in the appointment of election commission, I believe that this has not been a judicial overreach because the judiciary has come up only with the selection procedure of election commission.
No, they have said a judge will be there, Supreme Court Chief Justice will be there. Yes, so it means that a legislature and executive are all chores. The only person who can do something is the judiciary. So unless there's a judge everywhere, even that Adani case, there's a judge heading it, another judge there. No, everybody is a chore. That's what it means, no? Everybody is incompetent and a chore because what does a judge have to do with being on the selection committee of EC? Because tomorrow, if there is a issue of adjudication on selection of EC, they're already a party to it. They have to be above it, no?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, for that there should be a proper...
You still say there's no judicial overreach and it's not violating the separation of powers principle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you. Please.
So you have done socio, as your optional.
Yes, sir.
Good. You were a student of English literature.
Yes.
Why you shifted to sociology?
So during my college life, I have a senior friend of mine who used to keep talking about sociology and she used to keep teaching me about sociology things. So I developed an interest in it. So while I decided to pursue UPSC, so I thought that I like to have a proper interest. I like to read about it, and since I started reading on it, I developed interest within it. Okay. I believe English literature is a fantastic subject, but I chose it from the perspective of examination.
It's a matter of personal choice only.
Yes, sir.
It cannot be publicly debated. So tell me, in sociology, yes, name one Indian thinker who has influenced you most.
So G.S. Ghurye is.
What is his contribution to Indian sociology?
So he has talked about the caste system that is prevalent in the society. He has given certain broad features of caste system in terms of endogamy, hierarchy, and differentiation.
Okay. Let us come to caste system only. I think it's very simple as well as the most complex concept within at least this country. What are some features of caste system? Like, can you enumerate, say, 3-4 features?
Yes, sir. So the certain features are, one is the endogamy. They do not allow intercaste marriages. So the marriage is practiced within the caste system itself. Second is the ritual hierarchy. Third is the food there's a practice of sitting and having food with their own caste people and not intercaste people. For example, Brahmins doesn't sit with the Shudras and...
Is it?
In the past...
It's a rural phenomenon now or urban phenomenon or prevalent at both the places?
So yes, caste system has been changing and evolving. However, yes, the prevalence has been more in the rural areas. Yes, sir.
Okay. I give you one concept. You have to elaborate.
Yes, sir.
Caste in India is a class in itself, and class in India is a caste in itself.
Sir, it is a dichotomy of class and caste system. So it is believed that class is more of an urban phenomena, whereas caste is more of a rural phenomena. So it is believed that in the rural India, the presence of caste system is more. In the urban area, there is a presence of class system is more. So, however, it is said
How
that
much of overlapping is there between caste and class?
yes, sir. So there has been overlapping in various sectors. For example, education. We still see intercaste and interclass disparities in the education sector. Along with that, there's a problem of overlap in public discourse as well, where it comes to
Okay. So let me extend my further question. Do you think reservations should be there on the ground of caste or class or both or none of the two?
Sir, I believe the reservation system should not be on the basis of caste and class. It should be on the basis of economic, social, and educational backwardness.
So what is the difference between class and economic and social backwardness?
Sir, I believe that caste itself is not a right criteria because it will create more inequality and disparities within the society of India. It will disrupt the moral fabric of the society.
So by saying this, you mean that the provision of reservation system within the country is a blunder?
Sir,
Are you trying to argue that?
Sir, in the country, the reservation is based on social backwardness. It is not on the basis of caste system per
Is
se.
it?
Yes, sir. The Article 15.
Okay. Have you read preamble today?
Yes, sir. I have read preamble.
पढ़ा है?
Yes, sir.
There are 5 words that describes the vision or future document kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
What are those 5 words in proper order?
Sir, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic.
Very good.
Garima, are you aware of the controversy surrounding the works of Roald Dahl?
Yes, sir.
What is the controversy going on?
So the controversy is regarding there has been a process of amendments and changes within its novels and the children books that he used to produce. So after his death, the publications have been altering certain remarks which are related to certain sexual orientations as well as racist remarks.
So do you think this is a right thing to do, amending what has been written? It was accepted earlier, it was published earlier. So why
Yes,
changing it on a post facto basis? And they were quite popular, right?
Yes,
Even
sir.
movies have been made on his
Yes.
works. So why amendments now?
So since the society is progressing and there has been a difference in society in that era as well as this era, since we are moving towards progressive society and a developed society, there has to be a proper uniform criteria, and this should not be based on any discrimination with related to.
Okay, but don't you think our approach should be sensitization rather than censorship?
Yes, sir, I agree.
So what
to
about
it.
the freedom of speech then? We also talk about the freedom of speech or
Yes,
freedom
sir.
of, this is also freedom of expression.
Yes, sir.
So isn't it kind of a conflicting situation?
Yes, sir, it is. And obviously, we have to maintain the freedom of expression and freedom of creativity of an artist and should not disrupt his or her works and arts, which is being done. There should be more focus on sensitization, awareness in the society itself, and it should be left to the reader's choice that are they willing to read it or not.
So your personal stand is that this is not warranted. They shouldn't have done this.
Yes, sir. I believe that there should not be a censorship on any literary or artwork. I believe this. Considering me as a literature student, I do not believe that it is a right thing to alter a person's opinion. But since we are moving towards progressive society, there should not be any remarks like sexual orientation and racist remarks.
Okay, okay.
So Garima, you studied in RAN public school.
Yes, sir.
You said it was in Rudrapur.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it in Bilaspur?
Sir, it has two branches.
Okay.
One is in Rudrapur and one is in
You were
Bilaspur.
there in Rudrapur branch.
Yes, sir, I was in
So
Rudrapur.
what is RAN? What is this? What does it stand for?
Sir, the RN has been named after the chairman. It is the name of him was Rai Amarnath. So in sense, it was RAN.
So it's in Udham Singh Nagar district.
Yes,
Who
sir.
was Mr. Udham Singh?
Sir, he was the one who has killed General Dyer.
Are you sure?
So Michael O'Dyer, sorry,
Yes.
and who was in the Punjab area.
Who was there?
Who was the then governor of Punjab during the crisis of Jallianwala Bagh massacre.
So Garima, imagine that we become self-sufficient in our energy needs.
Yes, sir.
How will that reflect on our foreign policy imperatives with respect to Middle East?
Sir, first of all, in terms of foreign policy, it would reduce our import if we become more self-sufficient in our energy sector. And since we buy most of the oil from and the energy from Middle East.
How will it reflect on the foreign policy imperatives with respect to Middle East?
Not completely aware about it and cannot form an opinion.
No problem. So you are from Uttarakhand and we have this concept of Mitra police over there. Uttarakhand police called Mitra police.
Yes, sir.
So do you really think that police should be or could be Mitra of somebody, of citizens?
Yes, sir. I believe that it could be a Mitra and...
Should it be a Mitra?
Yes, sir.
Should it be a Mitra to people?
Yes, sir.
Why? Tell me reasons.
So because it will imbibe trust and confidence within the people with respect to the police officials and administration of police. And since there has been a perception that police doesn't look towards civilians and does not cater to their needs. So being a friend and a mitra of the normal common citizens, it would enhance the trust and the trust within the system of people.
There is so much of trust deficit there.
Yes, sir.
What could be possible reasons for that?
So the possible reasons could be police being, there has been a politicization of police, one reason, and the violence that police generally resort to in terms of lathi charges and protest, I believe. And also they're not accepting the FIRs.
Suppose you become DGP of Uttarakhand.
Yes, sir.
How will you bridge this trust deficit?
So for that, I would like to ensure proper sensitive training of police officials that is required. And along with that, proper awareness that police is there for the people's help. And I can also ensure certain technology deployments.
Okay.
So now, what is the advice? First of all, you are young, so that's a big advantage for you. You have no biodata of work or anything, so the questioning of you will be a little kinder. Second, you are pleasant, you have a pleasing personality, and so that these are your positives. But you have to work hard. Your interview is on 27th, and today is already 4th. Have you got more mocks lined up? You have. Well, our advice would be that maybe you can do 1 or 2 more mocks, but more time should be spent in studying. Better that you should actually, they'll tell you the same thing. Better that you should spend this time, the next 15-20 days in preparing hard. Then you can do a couple of mocks to get practice and to get an idea of questions. But you need to work hard. You need to work hard on your DAF.